Thank you. Sorry I missed my introduction earlier, but but nature calls, and we do have bodies. Anyway. All right. Wait a minute. I heard, I got a note earlier that there was a party last night a couple of people went to. Some sort of Burning Man party. Somebody dressed up in suits or something. And, you know, I have to, like, I'm going to have to report this to the ethics officer, by the way. Yeah. And I'm going to, if everybody agrees, to appoint Mary as the convention ethics officer to handle this. Because what I heard was that people went out and actually had fun. And they dressed up in costumes and went out and, like the spirit of play, they went out and had fun. I mean, what is this? So you're going to have to give out accommodation shits. All right. All right. You got it.
Okay, guys,
get to business. All right. Put it up there. Must be my age. Okay. Well, good day. My name's Rey Robles, and I'm an auditor. That's my prompt. I'm an auditor in an independent field, now known as the Free Zone. And how many people here have I personally audited? Okay. Well, that's a good sum. Not as much as when we did this in Reno, but that just means I have to come to LA more, you know. That's all right. Most of you know I've been auditing for 40 years, and I'm not going to go too much through my past because most of you know it already. I won't bore you with that. Can you read my own writing? We'll skip that. I've audited in church for 20 years. I've been auditing another 20 years outside the church. And, you know, I was gathering information. I was gathering a lot of this stuff you're going to see up here. And I'll leave it up here so after my talk, you come up here and look at these gradation charts. Because I found it to be very interesting. What happened was, back in '83, there was a mission holder rebellion, as many of you probably heard about. I was part of that rebellion. I refused to go to various meetings with RTC. I had a mission at the time. There was a big abyss. There was a big break between church members in the church who were active in the church and the field, meaning mission holders and auditors. And the big break was between the upper management and DM, I'm not even going to say his name. And it's been broken ever since. And even the church is broken now because they keep trying to patch up this the ARC break field. And actually, my last days in the church was 1990s, and I went to a meeting with these top brass in San Francisco. And our solution and the purpose was to handle the ARC broken field. And since I was going around auditing for different orgs and missions at the time, I realized even in Hawaii, and no matter where I went, Detroit, there was an ARC broken field. In other words, the church's field, the globally, is ARC broken with them, and that's who's in the field? That's us. And so there's this big schism between church members and the free zone. All right. And then I was out of the free zone in 1990, and I realized that people who got out after the 80s, and Mary, you got out in the 80s, correct? And there was some unification in the 80s, you know, where people were getting together, suing the church, still auditing, having their turning their missions into advanced orgs and getting people through their knots and OG3s, remember that? But a lot of these people eventually retired, and they're no longer doing it or passed on. So I found in the 90s the free zone was broken up also. They weren't united. They were squabbling, who was doing standard tech, who wasn't. Some were just giving the tech away, putting it on the confidential stuff on the internet. Some were holding the tech to their chests and not sharing it. So I said, being someone who did the what do you call investigation course, right? Anyway, so I did a data eval on it, and I found out a couple of things I'm going to share with you today. How we can possibly unite the free zone, and eventually those members in the church. And there are a lot of them that are trying to do good. They don't know what really happened. See? There's a solution here. And it's, thank you. And I've been using this solution, and lo and behold, all of a sudden I have partners, I have friends that I network with, and I want to acknowledge those people. And like Pat and Ray Krennick, we're networking, we're helping each other, so I want to acknowledge them. Yeah. And now we have, and also the Monterey group, Valerie and her husband are working real hard, Justin. Yeah. And now we could add to our network, and I have added it, and you know that, David and Aida. Dave and I have been working on some OT8 stuff, right? And I brought him some LRH OT9 data that we're going to work out, and eventually we'll share it with you guys too. And the L's are now out, believe it or not, and we're going to share it with that. We're going to share the free, all this stuff needs to be out. No one should have a monopoly on this, and that wasn't that was LRH's intention, I think, is to get this out. And we're doing it. It was amazing that here I am auditing in the field, and the only people I'm getting any flack from is not the psychs. See, it's not the government. It's not the FBI. It was the Office of Special Affairs. The group that's supposed to get the tech out was stopping the field from getting it out, or trying to. But they failed, didn't they? They failed. We're here. And for 7 years, this is the 8th one, right? For 7 years, I've been putting this stuff.